Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Me Live broadcast of the Legion of LA Crit Series race number 1. We're jumping right on in with the racers with about 2 laps to go for the first go at this Crit Series. They did have a pretty cool, actually, ride along with, I believe, Rasan Bahati this past Tuesday, though, to give a little idea and tips and tricks with the team, as well as Rasan in order to do some of how to do crit racing. And now we're out on the new Neokyo course in McCurry Islands for the crit course that is specifically in the new downtown section. We've got a lap and a half to go here, Dave, and the riders are absolutely flying. What we're going to be focusing on today, though, is really giving people an idea of what this is all about for the 4 race series.
I could not believe when I looked at the start list, especially on the men's side of things, the names that showed up. I felt like we were at a mid-season ZRL race in a lot of ways, and it was a lot of depth as well as you take a look. So again, to set the table for you here, we're in Neokyo. It was 24K of racing when they started, but we are deep into it now. This is going to be Jasper Peredains here. So yeah, these are some big names. Clearly that, I guess, what Rasan Bahati was known for a big part of his career, Nathan, was tail gunning, and that was really just doing the minimal amount to stay at the back of the group, knowing that he would always be able to move up when it was time. Well, the alarm bells are ringing. It is time. It is on like Donkey Kong. Welcome to the Legion team is hosting this race, and well known for the awesome Into the Lion's Den held at the end of October, which was just one of the best races I've seen in my life. Well, esports Nathan out here, this is going to be a new level. So let's take a look at who's left here now. So this course, very few people have seen racing out here yet. I don't even know, Nathan, if you've raced out here yet.
I actually have checked out this course. We just jumped across to the women real quickly there just to see how they're doing, and they got a lap and a half or 2 to go at this point. So they're at 15K. The men just starting their final lap, so we'll really put some focus in on with the ladies. But I did get out on this course momentarily to kind of check it out, see where things were at. I did watch some of the Aussies actually this morning, as there are 4 zones that you can jump into, and the Australians this morning were absolutely hammering it. There is a little bit of an interesting section out here, though, when it comes to the sprint. We'll see if it is going to be a final sprint onto that downhill. I think it's going to roll down onto the course proper that we're on for the finishing of it itself, and not through that sprint banner from what we saw this morning. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. But what we want to really do is focus in here on the kind of names that have shown up here today. Sam Boardman out yesterday with the WTRL TTT. For WBR yesterday, we saw Corey Williams has jumped in here as well from Legion of LA, and this is kind of their wheelhouse that they're now bringing into the Zwift house, Dave.
Yeah, well, and taking a look here, I saw Matteo Cicala here, the Irishman, the Italian Irishman. He's always a top finisher. There's some huge names in this group. You don't get to see crit racing, so new course. A lot of riders that don't know each other that well. Obviously, Corey Williams, one of the owners of the Legion of LA team, and also a guy who, it's funny, I was thinking about Corey this morning when we were looking back on some history. Corey is not new to high-level sprinting. He's had some, so from California, and he's been California state champion. Looks like an attack going right now. But as you talk about Corey, he is one of the best finishers that we've seen from his generation of sprinters, and he's really just getting started. Tell you the truth, what are they going to do here, Nathan? One rider, I believe now. Well, it's so hard to stay away.
Yeah, try.
You really can't.
Give it a try there, but Prim's coming right back into the fold, and the speeds here, Dave, 51 kilometers per hour, and they're just setting their tempo right now as they're going to ramp up. There is a little bit of a climb that we'll be heading on over toward out here on this course. There's a little bump after the sprint section that we saw there, and then there's a little bit of an undulating through this path you'll see, and they're actually going to be dodging through like cars and some other different like obstacles as they go through it, which does kind of give it a little bit of like
kind of like a U.S.
out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, exactly, Dave.
Yeah, all we need is a school bus backing out onto the course with 2 laps to go. You know, anything can happen. That's what I saw in some of the pre-race publicity, talking about, well, one thing you don't have to worry about is crashing, and that is true and beautiful. It gives you a chance to really sprint in a different mode as it becomes. I mean, you'll see riders having tunnel vision at the end of this race. That's how deep they know they're going to be going. It's never easy. You could see Sam Boardman here again. Thanks to Sam for giving back yesterday. It's just classic Sam. Sam doing what Sam does yesterday, helping out with World Bicycle Relief. But I don't know if karma's going to pay off. It's certainly fortune that favors the brave, and you can see battle for positioning going on. The power-ups are being deployed. It's on, Nathan. We're right down to it. Brass tacks now as they're rapidly coming up on 1K to go. It's going to be a tricky run into the finish. As a matter of fact, your expertise would be invaluable, Nathan, if you could be in the ear of one of the riders right now.
Left leg key here from USA. Now giving a little bit of a kick up into 9 watts per kilogram. Here comes a super attack. Watts wheelhouse. He's actually an in real life track sprinter out of the Cali area now. Off the front 15, jump 72 kilometers per hour. He might have done it. I think he's walked away with this one. Caught them all by surprise, perhaps. Here comes Griffin Vermelion, though. But he's got a solid. He's done. It's over. That race is completely over there at that point. Watts wheelhouse catches them all out. Cuban trying to come through. Here comes Van Leethen, but it's going to be Brian Duffy Jr., your man, flying off the front. And will he grab it? I think he's done it, perhaps. And no, it's going to go all the way to the line with Kirchmer, perhaps. No, that was going to be Duffy Jr., I think, did just barely grab it. The location of the finish line there, a little bit tricky to find there. We'll have to wait for our results over at Zwift Power, actually, for this event. We'll be watching for him. But holy cow, did you see the kind of speed that was coming through? And the churn, just like, this guy's still doing 57K an hour, and he's not even pedaling.
I would have to say that, I mean, if you're into this kind of thing, which is full-on esports field sprinting, you don't get many opportunities like that. A fresh course, it was absolute pandemonium out there. And I've heard through social media earlier today that finale so tricky, Nathan, as they're still building out the competition element of racing here, but it's bananas. No doubt about it. What a finale we're in. It looks like with the women now. Tell me if I'm wrong, Nathan, but I believe that this is going to be our front group for the women's A's.
Yeah, it is going to be Sundquist here. It looks like Kummer's coming through Holly from Crushpod and Wagner, and they're going to, looks like, play a little bit of games with each other at this point. Yeah, and this is
Rose
they're going to have a lap and a half to go, I believe. It's a short course, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you'd be right on the math, though. 6 times 4 would be 24. It was 24K of racing out here. So this is where really you don't get that many chances to recon the run into the finish. They should really be paying attention now to watch what it is like, because they're inside of 1K to the 1 lap to go moment in the race, 1 lap equaling about 4K. So Nathan, doing that reconnoitering, recon work is really a big part of sprinting. You'll see the top sprinters will always go and look at it at speed, watch other races sprint, although when you're at this level, really, there's nothing that compares to what you're going to see in that men's race and the front group for the women. Same thing. Let's recognize the riders here. Holly Diep is the American for Crush Pod. We love that team. They're always well represented. Of course, there's going to be a Swedish rider that is Krista Sundqvist. Krista is up against 2 of the Rose Beast mode riders. They're German, almost entirely this German team, well known. They've built quite a solid reputation in esports, and this will be Pia Kummer and Dana Wagner of Beast Mode, presented by Rose. And Nathan, it's any woman's race right now. The 2-rider advantage. Let's see if they start trying to use that, attacking in turn, or do they just trust in their sprint? Could go either way.
Yeah, it's a good question. They're coming with the 2 beast mode riders. I do think they're going to start playing some 1-2, but Sundquist is a very strong rider. I believe the Swedish rider here is going to be able to follow some moves, so we'll see how they end up playing this out. I do kind of like this change up here, Dave. We just had a massive classic, crit finish at 72 kilometers per hour on the front with the sprint.
Frenetic. Yeah.
Absolutely insane. You can barely call it, and I actually thought that Watts wheelhouse
at one point
caught them out there, but it does look like they were able to catch him just at the line. But now we have something a little different, Dave.
Tactical now, for sure. But you're right. I mean, at times you're just like, what is going on? It's like being in a horror movie when you're in one of those field sprints. It's just chaos. This is going to be much more surgical out here as we watch the ladies now coming up on 3K to go. They're out of so I love this world, Nathan. I feel it's so realistic. Um, I've always kind of wanted this style of world, to tell you the truth. It reminds me, maybe I would have liked to have seen more of this in New York, to tell you the truth, where you feel like you're riding past a 7-Eleven and an arcade, and it's a flower shop, and just the
One of my
essence
favorite
of urban
courses,
living.
actually, to be honest, at this point.
Awesome.
Like, I really, really dig this entire
A
new
lot to look
city.
at.
Actually, tons to look at, and I do kind of like the way that the course comes at you a little bit too. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun, and the ways that you can kind of be tactical on it with a lot of the turns, a lot of the ups and downs. I do think that there are ways to maybe make some moves. Now with the pack like that, with the kind of strength that there was in it, it's going to be very hard to get away on it.
Very hard to
But
see anything either, right? Like, it's like being on
the
a bus
turns, the
going
turns
120
are
miles
right
an hour
there.
through the
True,
city.
true,
Like,
very,
what was
very
that?
true. Let's
So,
real quickly. I want
we
to take a
talk
look
tactic?
at the course just a little real quick here. This is going to
Sure.
be a
Yeah,
little
this will help.
map to give people an idea of what we're dealing with and what a quick turnaround it really is out here today. So,
Oh,
and this is going to help
yeah,
us out coming over from Zwift Insider. Actually, a little bit of a browser source here with it. And this is, I mean, if you look at it here, it's just this quick little. Um, as you can see, nothing of a course. Boom, that's it. And as you can see, those little um, S winders over there on the left hand side. That's where things get
yeah,
really rapid, and a lot of twists and turns do end up happening. There are some little ups and downs through there, kind of like you do the Essies over in Watopia. So that's an interesting section, of
right.
course, where you might be able to pull something off.
Easy to lose positioning in that kind of a sector. So, Nathan, just to take a step back, Legion is our hosts here. They've been a partner and friend of Zwift for a long time. And as mentioned, Corey Williams, he and his brother Justin have created this franchise that is Legion of LA. That's really been so. If you look at the start list, most of these riders are not American that are racing with us right now. As it's early evening in Europe, and it makes a lot of sense. So, that being said, they're maybe not completely aware of really the phenomenon that's happened in American racing with the Legion team and what they've been doing with including everyone in their events. They hosted an event as well in Sacramento, California, that was incredibly well received, and have been changing the game. There's no question that this team has tremendous momentum, and this crit series was a fun way. We mentioned Sam Boardman, Corey Williams was up there in that final sprint. By the way, he almost got it, I think, if we go back and look at results. But some of the guys from the team are out here racing, and this is part of their participation in esports. They were out doing World Bicycle Relief ride yesterday. It's the women here, this front group that we're looking at. These four women have remained together for almost 22 and a half kilometers. They've got 1.5K to go in our first Legion of LA series crit races. We'll have a lot of fun along the way. I'm sure we've got a lot of storytelling to do, Nathan, about the American criterium scene, which is robust. It's really the top style of racing in the U.S. now. Uh, couldn't really argue that, could you? I mean, mountain biking's big, cyclocross is having their national championships, but I think criterium racing, well, a good way to put it, most common bike race you'd be likely to come across in the U.S. would be a criterium. Unless you disagree, which you're welcome to.
No, it's American bike racing, crit racing is really, I mean, a staple right
Kind
there.
of goes
I mean,
hand in
that's kind
hand,
of
right?
hand in hand, 100%. You think American bike racing, you think crit racing. The MTB did come. We're gonna, I'm not
For
gonna
sure.
play that
I
down
didn't
one
want to
bit.
undersell that. Yeah, no.
No, not
And
at all.
mountain biking is coming. Mountain biking's making a big comeback for sure, and it's awesome. So, not trying to not putting shade on mountain biking at all.
I
I
did
love
want
it.
to read out
You know
a
I
little
love
bit
it.
of description here. Crit racing. The whole idea here is that with Legion of LA and what they're trying to do, we are going to come into the sprint here in just a moment, so things probably going to be opening up. But it is to show the fun and exciting of the crit racing on the platform. The crit series is great for those who are new competing as well as longtime Zwifters. So the idea here is really get as many new people into this type of racing as possible. As we
Yeah.
do see, though, Holly from Crush Pod, solid 9.4 watts per kilometer. Kumner following the wheel very closely there, and I think she is just going to be the
Here
lead
we
out
go.
here from Crush Pod. And I think
So
Kumner,
they
though,
know
beast mode,
over
Wagner,
the top.
Kumner, which one's
Yeah,
going to take it?
Dana.
It's neck and neck. Kumner might make this happen, actually, though. 2 arrow power-ups, and as they come to the
Fair
line,
fight.
it
Yeah.
looks like it's going to be Kumner, I believe. Yep, and her teammate going to fade there. Humor across the line. Wagner,
So
Holly, Sundquist. That's the top four out there today.
want to memorize that. You'll see that finish a lot. Now, Nathan, I'm sure they'll get an arch built
I think what's going to
for.
happen is it may move by next week. I think that with this course, there was a little bit of a hiccup, I'll just say, and that that's the finishing. And they do see how many meters are to go at the top. Like if you were a racer, you do see
They would
how
have
many.
known.
Yeah, they would
Right.
have known that it's coming, but it does get a little bit confusing. As to like what's going on and what's happening there. So, that will have a little bit of a change up, and we will be able to see the amount that is left for the racers actually out there as you are riding today. If you do the later event, you will see, but just be aware that you got to watch how many meters are left to know where the finish
Pay
is.
attention.
Yeah, and they're going to try and
You know who was really good
or
at that?
swap it to the sprint banner in later ones, from what I'm being told.
Brian Duffy Jr. might be one of the most astute racers out there.
He took second.
You
He took
talk about
second to Watt. Watt got him.
He did get it. Fantastic.
Yeah, by
That's
0.1 of a second.
he
by a
must have
tenth of a
heard me.
second.
He must have heard me say fortune favors the brave, and he went, "Okay, I'll be brave."
100%.
That was good for him. We have a bunch of what part of the beauty of racing and esports on Zwift is all of the different categories. And Nathan, when we were looking early, I apologize. We just jumped right in with this broadcast because we didn't want to miss it. But obviously, we're kind of getting things going here. It's really fun to have you with us as we see the D's and the C's, Nathan, for the women.
This is the C category. This
more
is the
racers.
C category we're looking at. Yeah,
which
is
the way
front line of them, and they're about to hit their sprint.
Yeah, a healthy ecosystem has a larger C field than B field, right? And then B than A. And these women are really battling now. Here we go.
Cortada!
Time to launch this sprint.
This is one of your top fundraisers from yesterday's WBR off the front. Loving it here. Here comes Luce de
She's
Sol.
a machine.
Looks like the German rider took it just over the top of Julia, followed up by the Ionian rider, George Hagen. So nice little kick. We do have a Zwift employee actually jumping in here, it looks like. Dirolf and Shamus here riding together. Good to see.
So all the different levels of racing out for almost everyone, Nathan. This is going to be the first time that they've had a chance to race. Thanks again to Legion for hosting these criteriums. And again, there'll be a lot of materials around this that will be fun. It was cool to hear. I saw Instagram Live with Rasan and Corey a couple of days ago, where they talked about crit racing and experience, and certainly they bring the heat and the knowledge. So we're in with Held now, one of the fearless riders. Actually, we're going to jump around and give you a good look at Neokyo with a new world here on Zwift.
We're jumping all over the place. Here we go. Let's just get the top end here. This is actually what would be
like
the
Blade Runner,
usual finishing sprint area. And what's going to be interesting, I think, if we do get it changed up, is how the riders, look at how they weave through on Neokyo here. You weave
They're
through
trying
all
to grab
these
a
pedestrians. It's great. I love it how they do this. And then through here, it'll be interesting that weaving into a sprint section actually through this arch is what I believe the goal will be for next week. So we'll see how that plays out. But for the results, let's go ahead and read those out. We will not have on-screen results. We may be able to have them for next week, actually, everybody. But we definitely wanted to highlight a little bit of the series and those who are out there. Dave,
I'm
Christopher
seeing
Watt.
what you. Yeah, with the Brian Duffy Jr. second and Ingo Reichardt third. Is that correct? The same info you have?
Yeah, Paulo Fernandez and then Corey Williams actually from Legion taking a solid fifth place up against, I would say, some of the best Zwifters in the world right now.
Ryan Larson from Saris. And hey, big thanks to them for their $10,000 donation to World Bicycle Relief yesterday. Saris No Pins rider Ryan Larson. So, Jasper Paredains ends up in the top 10 and 9th. Philippe Van Liedem also there, the Belgian rider, Nathan. So that's quite a top 10. I missed Maciek M from Poland, sitting there in 6th place. Mike Cumming, another Saris rider, ends up in 11th, right behind Gianni Kuhlman. So there we go. Thanks for racing, everybody.
Yeah,
you like my hat?
Highlight also, I love the hat. You got the Legion hat on. It's absolutely great. I wanted to highlight that this is not the only zone. We still have the 6 p.m. Central Time CST and the 9 p.m. CST Central Time that you can jump into. So the whole idea here is we're letting you know that this crit series is going on. we'll be broadcasting the 1 p.m. Central Time broadcast. There's a playlist for all of it, actually, that is up. You can go hit the reminders on those. And yes, we will be having, though, within a lot of the races throughout the day, you'll have Legion team members racing in each one of those that they can throughout the day. So the whole idea is you can get out there, race with Legion team members that'll be jumping into these specific events. And then we will be highlighting specifically this one, as it tends to be the most popular, this European night, as well as the middle of the day for the Americas. We tend to get the most not only participation but also viewership, and get a lot of the top names. As you did see, we had at least 4 Legion riders that looked like in there, and one of them taking the top 5, obviously, with their top sprinter, Corey Williams.
Yeah, that's cool to see. I don't know if Skylar Schneider, but there's a women's Legion team as well, and certainly Kendall Ryan. She deserves a break. She was just at the Track Champions League, where Gavin Hoover, the American, ended up winning. But certainly Kendall and Skylar have received some reinforcements with the women's team. Sam Schneider is joining. Actually, extremely cool to see because Alexis Ryan is joining her sister Kendall on the team as well. So
Talk
it just
about stacking.
so happened.
Talk about stacking.
No kidding. And it's
well,
it's interesting.
The funny
Their
thing is the Schneider
families,
sisters are local. They're Wisconsin.
Wisconsin,
Yeah. There was
West
a lot of mountain
Allis.
biking going on early. Oh yeah, right down the road. West Allis is the ski hill where I run my first mountain bike pro race. Actually, it's still run, but now it's at Manuka Park in Waukesha. But I mean, and the Schneider sisters definitely in that family, and also a lot of the community. I'm thinking of a man named Russell Jobs who starts with Dream Bikes. I'm thinking of a lot of, there's a lot of names and faces that come to mind that have really been in support of those sisters getting to the top and always
sure.
commenting on, and so it really cool to see where they've taken this and that they've picked
Well,
up on Legion.
it makes sense that they're on Legion because they bring their own brand, and the Schneider sisters are legendary. They're opened a bakery in Wisconsin, or I think they're close to it. Dave Schneider, the dad there, has also been a tremendous force in the sport of cycling. Just one of the all-time good guys who's given back. And one of the cool things that they've done that's really paying off, Nathan, you've seen this. They invested in caring and supporting riders from Colombia, Mexico, actually Central and South America, and now a lot of those riders are racing up here in the U.S. with us during our crit season, summer. So anyways, we certainly have a lot of great things to talk about with the Legion team, and that will continue with more racing. Get involved, whether you're an A, a B, a C, or a D. It makes no difference. We've got and final point from me, Nathan, I didn't really emphasize it, healthy ecosystem in cycling. Well, when you see the C's and the D's had much larger fields than what we saw with the A's today, it just tells me that's the way you want that pyramid to build. That's how you grow a cycling community, and that's what we have here in Zwift Community Live.
100%. Now, don't make sure to tune in tomorrow. It'll be myself and Kate Bates on for the Team Fearless Team Championships that we will be broadcasting 88Ks for the A's and B's, doing 3 laps, and it's going to be 2 laps out there for the C's and the D's. It's going to be a long day in the saddle for that Fearless Team Champions for the women's event, so you can join us for that. Make sure to check that out over on the YouTube. It is scheduled already, and you can check out more crit racing next Tuesday. We will be here at 1 p.m. CST. We'll be a little bit earlier than we went live today to catch all of that race on this specific course. Make sure to join in, participate, and jump in with some of the Legion boys and ladies for some awesome crit racing on this new course. And we will see you tomorrow for Team Fearless. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Myself, Dave Toll, and as always, ride on.